Insights and Strategy, and we're here for another 6-5 Live Insider. An Insider is where we have the top tech executives from the most relevant tech companies. And in this edition, we have Jim Anderson, CEO of Lattice Semiconductor. Jim, how are you?
I'm doing good, Pat. Great to be with you here today. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and it's fun to be threading the needle between being offsite, remote, right? Like where I'm prepared to do a video pretty much anywhere. And
Yeah, I noticed your background is kind of interesting. So it looks like you're in an interesting location. So that's good. Yeah.
yeah, my undisclosed bunker in somewhere in San Jose. But hey, let's
Well,
let's
good to
dive
see you.
right in. Yeah, you too. Not everybody is as familiar with Lattice Semiconductor as I am, and other industry analysts and financial analysts and customers. But essentially, you've carved out one heck of a market here. Lattice does the lowest power, highest efficiency FPGAs, and you've wrapped SDKs around certain areas, whether it's AI, whether it's robotics, many different ways to make FPGA programming better. But Jim, you guys are on a roll.
Yeah, definitely. I would add to that, just people might not know that Lattice is actually the highest volume FPGA supplier in the world. And you're exactly right. We focus on small size, power efficiency, easy to program FPGAs. And those are used in just all sorts of different applications, industrial, automotive, computing, communications, et cetera. And so, yeah, we see our chips used all over the place. And by the way, Pat, next year we will pass our 40th anniversary next year. So we've been doing this for 4 decades now. We've been innovating in this area. So, and in the tech industry, to survive 4 decades is pretty good. So we're pretty proud of that.
That is incredible. Hey, let's jump right into Q1 earnings. You had a blowout earnings, and Jim, I think I've been following the company going on 4 years, and each year had a little bit of a different theme, and it looks like this year is a growth theme.
Yeah, definitely. We're off to a very strong start to this year. Q1 revenue grew about 30% year over year. But Pat, that's actually off a pretty strong year last year. So we grew 26% for the full year last year. And so we entered this year at even a higher growth rate, really strong performance in Q1 on the top line. And then we're really proud of the performance on the bottom line too. So net income actually grew 72% year over year. And that's after multiple years of some pretty steady EPS and net income growth if you look over the last 2 to 3 years. So again, great results off a pretty strong year last year. So we're pretty excited about the year. We expect this year to be another good, strong year for the company. But yeah, really pleased with the results that we saw in Q1.
Yeah. So Jim, it's I guess it's been 4 years that you've
Almost.
been almost, and the different stages that you've gone through, which was rationalizing your roadmap at the beginning. It's hard to have growth in a situation like that, and once you've rationalized it, you doubled or tripled the velocity of the amount of new products that came out, and it's been fun to watch. But in the FPGA market, it's not just one thing, and there are some examples of some very big growth segments, industrial, auto, and compute that you highlighted for the quarter. Can you dive into that?
Yeah, absolutely. And Pat, on the first part of your comments, you're definitely right. When I joined almost 4 years ago, and at the beginning, we really re-architected the entire product portfolio and the roadmap going forward. And as you know, that once you make those changes, it takes a little bit of time before that starts to show up in terms of top line growth. So all of those great changes that we made to the roadmap, we're now starting to see the fruits of that last year and this year and moving forward. And you are right. We actually tripled the rate of new products that we're bringing to the market now versus say 5 or 6 years ago. So we're really proud of that. The portfolio of products we have right now, super strong, and later this year, we're going to bring out a new product that we're really excited about as well. But in terms of the second part of your question around the segments, first of all, we saw really good growth in communications and computing. That was growth of over 27% year over year. And again, that follows multiple years of good, strong growth in that segment. In fact, that segment has grown for us double digits for the last 3 years in a row. So great growth, 27%. And what we're seeing there is the if you look over multiple years and moving forward, the three big growth areas we're seeing is one is in 5G wireless infrastructure. Another area is in servers that grow into data centers, either hyperscale data centers or enterprise data centers. And in servers, we now have a over 1x attach rate. And then the other newer growth area, which is kind of a greenfield growth area for us in that segment, is client computing. That's a very large system TAM market for us, and we're just starting to grow in that segment. So we've got a lot of opportunity ahead of us. We announced a really great partnership with Lenovo in that segment on their ThinkPad X1 Carbon that just started production. So a lot of different growth drivers in that segment. Really proud of the performance in that segment. But the other big segment for us is industrial and automotive. And that segment actually grew 40% year over year. And again, that was on really strong growth that we saw last year, but very strong growth of 40%. What we're seeing is Lattice devices adopted in things like industrial automation, industrial robotics, automotive electronics like infotainment and ADAS systems, a lot of different applications there. So kind of our two big segments growing really well year over year.
Now, wait a second. Automotive, I thought nobody was able to get chips here. What's going on here, Jim?
No, I think overall, we've been doing pretty good supporting our customers. Is definitely, constraints. If you look at the semiconductor industry overall, definitely constraints that we're seeing and tightness on the supply chain overall across the industry. But I think if you look at Lattice specifically and how have we supported our customers over the last couple of years, I think we've done a pretty good job, including with our automotive customers. So.
Yeah, and then on the 5G side, it is interesting how much content that you have in different parts of the value chain. Whether it's in DU, I mean, you're pretty much everywhere. And while some people think, oh, 5G's here, and we've seen all of the innovation in it, quite frankly, in Western Europe is barely getting going, and then the United States, the industry is trying to build out mid-band.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're exactly right. We still have a long ways to go in terms of the global build out of 5G wireless infrastructure. It's going to continue to take, multiple more years before we build out all geographies. The two geographies you mentioned, but also I would say there's large parts of Asia still that need to be built out as well, right? So a lot of global build out ahead of us. And then if you look at Lattice specifically in 5G base stations, say compared to 4G, we've got over 30% more content in 5G than we did in 4G. So as 5G continues to grow and ramp, we benefit from that. And so that's been a great growth driver for us.
Yeah, I learned a big lesson from your 5G results. And, typically, most people think, hey, it moves from an FPGA to an ASIC once the standards are baked. And that might be true potentially for the highest end FPGAs, but quite frankly, it's not necessarily worth the time and money to make that type of conversion when it comes down to the lowest power and highest efficient FPGAs. That was really interesting. So on the whole, you're not getting designed out for an ASIC, and people just keep that rolling with an FPGA.
Yeah, and the flexibility and the adaptability is one of the reasons the FPGA gets designed into the system. We're usually designed into control plane applications today. And in the control plane, the ability to reprogram the device and adapt it to future needs is actually one of the key reasons an FPGA gets used.
Yeah, I love it. It's been great to get an education on FPGAs. And, one thing you've done to make them so much easier to productize is with your SDKs.
Yeah, this is something I think is maybe not as well understood about Lattice, but this is around our software strategy. And over the last 3+ years, we've really been increasing the amount of investment in our software.
Mhm.
So as we were talking about earlier, we're definitely investing in the hardware devices, right? So
Right.
as I mentioned, we've tripled the output of new products on the hardware side that we've been bringing out to the market. But in parallel, we've also been investing in the software solutions that sit on top of that hardware. And specifically, what we've been doing is building out a portfolio of software solution stacks. You can think of these as pre-built application sort of tools and libraries that are specific to specific problems our customers are trying to solve. So things like artificial intelligence or inference at the edge of the network, security, industrial automation, computer vision. These are some of the examples of the software stacks we brought out to date. What they do for our customers is they make it really easy for our customers to design Lattice products into their system or to switch from a competitor's device to our device.
Hmm.
It makes it much faster for them to go in terms of time to market to get that system into production. And then for us, it also creates stickiness over the long term with our customers as well. And so this has been a big part of our strategy. We continue to invest heavily in software. And then we also, related to that, we actually did an acquisition in Q4 of a software company called Mirametrix that specializes in artificial intelligence software and especially in the area of computer vision. And we were already working with them on some customer projects for about 18 months prior to that. So we knew them really well. But that combination of Mirametrix software and Lattice chips and software allows us to provide a complete solution from the hardware level up to the application level for computer vision, which right now it's getting used in laptops like that Lenovo ThinkPad Carbon that I just mentioned a few minutes ago. But we see other applications for it in things like industrial robotics, right,
Yeah.
or automotive electronics.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what you do with Mirametrix in the future, but I am impressed with what it's been able to do on the Lenovo platform. And one thing that it's important, I think, for people to know that you bring to the table is the PC industry is rapidly getting more heterogeneous when it comes to the host CPU. You had Intel, you and I both worked at AMD for a time, and then you have Qualcomm coming in, and then I think as soon as Windows on ARM gets a little bit more baked out there, I think you're going to see more ARM folks come in here. So if you're a PC OEM, and I was a PC OEM for almost a decade, you have to find a way to enable all these cool ML features. Now, the challenge is, if you have four different vendors with four different ways to enable this, they can actually go with a Lattice solution and have a consistent experience across every CPU platform that they have, and quite frankly, at any price point as well. Because a lot of times, when it comes to SoCs, they have different features for different price points.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And so the way we call it is we're CPU agnostic,
Yeah.
right? So whether it's an Intel CPU or an AMD CPU or an ARM-based CPU, we'll support all different CPU flavors. What we're focused on with our customers, like Lenovo and other PC makers, is bringing new user experiences to those platforms, to enabling really outstanding new experiences and especially using artificial intelligence or inference processing to do that. And the great thing about our approach is because our chip is reprogrammable, it's adaptable to different processors. Our customers can use that single chip and software stack to support multiple different CPU versions of their platform. So that allows them to provide exactly what you said, a consistent, superior experience with multiple different processor choices underneath. So big advantage of the approach that we take.
I think the other thing is that due to the programmability of the FPGA, if you wanted to change what that processor was doing, or the function of machine learning, you could change it off the fly. You could rapidly improve it. And I think, particularly compared to an ASIC that's burned in and you really can't change, I think there's benefit in having flexibility that it's an FPGA. So I'm looking forward to all the new ways you're going to be able to use this. I mean, the PC has become, a huge part of our lives. I don't want to say again, because I never didn't believe it wasn't, but I think, people thought that, I guess the tablet was going to kill the PC, and the PC adopted characteristics of the tablet, and here we are. PCs are cool again. So,
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Jim, a lot of hard work in the team over the last 3 to 4 years. What are some things that we should expect from the company in for the rest of this year?
Well, we got a lot of stuff going on, but I'll pick my favorite thing this year, right? And that's we're going to launch our Avant platform in the second half of this year. And what Avant is, it's a brand new FPGA platform that we've been developing for a few years now. And if you look at it relative to our products that we have today, it increases the capacity or the capability of our devices by about 5x. And what's great about that is that allows us to double our addressable market, or you can think about it with our customers to be able to kind of double the number of applications or the market size of the applications that we can support for our customers. Something we're really excited about. Kind of the genesis of this platform was when we were introducing our current platform that's in production, which is Nexus, which is focused on small FPGAs. When we were introducing that to our customers back in 2019, we got great feedback from the customers. They loved the products, loved the platform, but they also said, "Hey, could you take that same really power efficient, really nice performance architecture, and could you scale that up into higher capacity points?" And we had enough customers ask us that we took a look at it and said, "Yeah, we could." And those same customers that we have today, if you look at the target customers for our new platform, Avant, it's 90% overlap with the customers that we already have today. So it's really taking the same customers we have today and offering them an extended product portfolio. And they love Lattice. They've known Lattice for decades, and so they trust us with their system. So we're really excited about that. We've been developing it since 2019, launching second half of this year. I can tell you that the engineering team is super excited about it, of course, because they're working on it. But the sales and marketing team are really, really excited because they're working with the customers on a day-to-day basis in preparation for the launch. And I was actually out touring a number of our customers over the last few weeks, and a lot of excitement and momentum building. We actually have over 100 customers now engaged on Avant, and just a tremendous amount of momentum. So we're excited to do the launch. We'll
Yeah.
definitely share more details second half of this year, but big step for the company. It also, by the way, from a business standpoint, one of the great things it does is it creates a brand new revenue stream for the company. It's a totally additive revenue stream because it's a part of the market that we don't address today. And so Avant will bring us into mid-range FPGA, which will create a new additive revenue stream, which we believe will accelerate the growth of the company.
So, put you on the spot here. I mean, if I'm a customer and I'm using, Xilinx or Altera at that mid-range FPGA, why should I switch to Avant?
Well, you got to stay tuned for that, Pat. You're trying to jump the gun here. Come on. We'll definitely talk about that in when we launch the product in the second half of this year. And actually, Pat, you know me, you and I have known each other for a long time. You know that when I do product launches, I love competitive comparisons. So I
Yes.
promise you we'll have some competitive comparisons. We'll definitely show you some data. But yeah, we believe it'll be really differentiated versus what else is out there today, and that's really based on our customer feedback. Some of those same customers that asked us to develop the platform back in 2019
Right.
have been guiding us on what's the right feature set and that sort of thing. So,
Yeah. I mean, from my
stay
point
tuned.
of view, and what I see in the market is I see 5+ year old designs and manufacturing, and then I see you coming in with a brand new design with the right manufacturing and I know what happens. And quite frankly, I see, the two other folks kind of pivoting into high-end data center SOCs, and providing those companies that. But yeah, we'll wait, Jim. I just want to I'm not a reporter, I'm an analyst, but it's always fun to talk about products. And I do use Lattice as an example of how to effectively use competitive demos to educate the outside world. So I appreciate it. It improves my learning, my cognition of what you're bringing to the table. So, Jim, thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Always happy to spend time with you, Pat. Really appreciate the questions and thanks for the time.
Yeah, absolutely, and look forward to the 6.5 Summit and all the fun stuff that we're doing together. But this is a great check-in, Jim, and I hope we can do this when Avant comes out.
Absolutely. Definitely. Looking forward to it.
Thanks. So this is Pat Moorhead and Jim Anderson for the 6.5 Insider. If you like what you heard, hit that subscribe button. You know how to find me on Twitter if you want to give me feedback. So with that, have a great week.